Welcome to the Rock Show with ASM. Today is a very special show. Today is an extremely special show. In the studio, I have the genius himself, Mr. Divas Gurung. Dai, it's so good to have you back here.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be back here. I was here last year. No, 2 years ago maybe.
I think we were here 2 years
Technically
ago.
2 years.
Technically 2 years.
Time-wise, it's almost 1 year.
And of course, it is a pleasure to have Mandy on the show. And you have been the show stealer. During his shows. That's what everybody keeps telling me.
Really?
Yes, everywhere that you've been, you were there in BNC, in Beers and Cheers, even last night.
Yeah.
So thank you so much for coming on the show. So Divasda, I'll start with you. And Ispari saying this time, you've already played 5 shows already, almost 5 shows.
No.
There was the Valentine's show.
Valentine's, Beers and Cheers.
And there was Moksha.
So I've done
3 shows.
Oh no, I did one acoustic one. 4 shows.
Ventures.
Ventures.
Right? So
Cafe,
there's 4 shows. Yeah, I stalk you properly then.
Yeah, it's all there.
It's all there
for people to find.
For someone who's not as social media active as you, like as in you don't. I mean, I don't know if you don't like it or you just can't keep up with it.
No, I only post when I have stuff to post. You know? It's hard for me to post things that I feel are post worthy.
You just don't want to pout and just take a selfie sometimes.
No, yeah, I do it, but I delete it immediately.
Right, and of course, I had the pleasure of meeting you in New York, and we had this lengthy conversation about your music and Ayurveda's music as well.
Yeah.
Back then, and this whole homecoming for you, you've been around twice, and this has been sort of your comeback into the music industry, so to speak. But people who've known you have known you.
Yeah.
How has this trip been? How have the shows been? How have the audiences been?
It's been great. I'm trying to move to a newer direction with my music. Trying to do more original songs.
Mm-hmm.
Because I made my mark as like doing covers of folk songs, which I still do. I enjoy.
Ratumato.
Yeah. So,
but those are your dad's songs.
Yeah, my dad's mix is like all the older songs. So I'm trying to do more, and then stepping a little bit away from the folk music, doing more indie music, which means a lot of things now is like rock, electronic, lo-fi, a little bit of not rapping, but like hip hop. Instrumentation, but I'm trying to do a lot of things, and the audience is much smaller for that, but it's definitely there. And then these shows I come, and it's always nice to see like people who come to the show, they know those songs. Maybe not the whole crowd, but there's a chunk of them. So I'm just hoping to keep that going.
Mandy, so how did you meet Divas? It should be the first question.
We met at a venue in upstate New York, in Ithaca, New York, where he went to college. That's
music
the
venue.
town. Yeah, it's a music venue and pizza and beer. It's like a little joint in town where a lot of our mutual friends hung out. So I met him there.
That place was called The Nines, and incidentally, that's where Ayurveda got its start too.
At that joint.
Like when we were in college, we went to that place, and it's like we want to play a show there, because we used to always go see shows at that place. And then he was like, why don't you come for an open mic? George, the guy who books all the shows, and we became like really good friends later. But we went to the open mic, and he was like, okay, we'll book you. And then for years we just played that place, most of it.
So you were there when the genesis of Ayurveda, basically.
Kind of like
a couple of years later.
Yeah, I didn't go to college with him, so that band formed in college, but I was doing an internship at Cornell in Ithaca during a summer break that I was on. So we met during the summer, and I would say that crowd at that venue, the band and all the people who worked there, my sister actually ended up being one of the staff members there, and it was kind of like a big dysfunctional family. Like everybody hung out together a lot, and we still keep in touch with a lot of those guys. And yeah, so we had a lot of mutual friends. I think we knew a lot of the same people before we actually both met.
Okay. It's a lot of mutual friends.
Mutual friends.
And because we know his musical influences and his history. Well, let's talk a little bit about yours.
I've never done an interview like this, by the way.
That's okay.
Well, we did one for a newspaper, and that was the first. So this is
this is the one that you.
So-
yeah, you've been doing a lot of press these days. That's good.
yeah. So if I'm
very happy to see him coming out of his shell. So, what were your musical influences growing up? Where did you grow up?
I grew up in Florida, in Clearwater, Florida, so like a beach town.
Wow.
So I spent a lot of time on the beach,
Mm.
and that involved listening to lots of Bob Marley and Sublime, and the Eagles were always played by a lot of beach cover bands playing like old songs like Under the Boardwalk. I don't know if people know that song, or Brown Eyed Girl. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a lot of music like that. And ironically, one of the first things that we connected on,
It was Collective Soul.
Yeah, okay, so I can say that.
It's funny because
I
when I
loved
went
them.
to
I
the
loved
US, Collective was so huge for us growing up.
Yeah.
US, a lot of people didn't know them or didn't like them. They thought it was like a really cheesy, almost like a religious band. They call it like a
Collective
Christian
Soul?
band. Yeah, I was.
Is that a Christian man?
No, but they've had that vibe.
That's how people sing, because the first song is called Shine, and it's got like some religious,
It says, "Heaven, let your light shine down."
Light shine down. When we're listening here, we don't make that connection, but but I mean that's how. And then, but she was one of the first people I met who liked Collective Soul, and I'd spent years trying to find people like
Who like Collective
so
Soul?
they're like,
Thank you, Collective Soul.
nobody likes Collective Soul except for the other Nepalis I meet.
Well, that's the band that I don't think people even know that their name is Collective Soul. That's the band who sang Shine
Shine.
to a lot of people. But a song like December,
Yeah.
which not many people have heard.
Yeah,
like
that-
Collective Soul growing up for us was like
Yeah,
it was huge.
The
Shine,
first 4
Gel,
albums were amazing. Yeah.
and so you grew up listening a lot of lot of beat songs probably in Cleo. So where did you go to college?
Actually, I went to college in Delaware, which
Geographically,
it was-
much north than.
it's one of it's like where I went to college it's south of Philadelphia. If folks know where Philadelphia is, it's like in this tiny. It's known as the first state of the United States. That's
Really?
like what Delaware has.
Well, good for Delaware. Ooh.
Yeah, and no sales tax. So people.
That's better.
Yeah.
So that must have been a big culture shock going from Florida to Northeast.
That's funny you say that because. Thank you. It was. Although nothing like the culture shock that he had to go through coming to the US from here. But I think both of us, like, going from a place where you don't really know about... Northeast is, like, pretty uptight and also very cold. So both of those two things, like the uptightness and the freezing weather was really hard. Yeah.
This is the let's hate on New York edition. Of
Sorry.
No, but
It's beautiful. It's great.
it is so windy and cold
Yeah.
that I would not want to live there. It's so windy and cold, but of course
Yeah,
you
it's
love
freezing.
the place.
No, it's winter has its own charms, I think.
Well,
Yeah.
if you're properly dressed, it does.
Or if you spend your whole winter indoors.
Yeah, in central heating,
Yeah.
which
yeah.
we don't have here
Yeah, which you don't have. Yeah,
at
yeah,
all.
at all.
How do you like the weather here? This is your first time.
In Nepal,
Yeah.
the weather.
Yeah.
It's funny because it's like so warm in the daytime and then so cold at night. I like the weather. It just gets really cold at night.
It does.
Yeah,
That
inside. It's colder indoors than outdoors a lot of
That
times.
it does.
Yeah.
Because we don't have central heating. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
But I've only experienced winter. I haven't been here in fall or spring or summer.
Right.
So every time we come in the winter.
Okay.
So when I think of Nepal, I think, ooh, like cold nights.
So probably one of the best times to come to Nepal is during Dasai in the
Yeah.
September-October period.
Yeah.
Or this time actually.
Yeah,
Because
we'll be
now
here for another couple of weeks. So.
Yeah. I'll get to see some
you get to see spring.
changes.
You get to
Yeah,
see
yeah.
spring for another couple of weeks. Fantastic. Wow, this has been. I can just wrap up the show here. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for tuning. No, let's get to the music now. This. I think a lot of culture shock for you was even coming back here. right? When you made your way back here and how the music had moved forward, like it was way different than when you left.
Yeah. But I mean, I was keeping up with it, mostly online, what I can see. Because there was a period of time where I didn't come back for, I think, 4 or 5 years. And that was like the biggest gap. After that, I come every 1 or 2 years. So it's not that crazy. But yeah, between the 4 or 5 years, more than culture shock, it was more like I missed like a whole chunk of music evolution where when we left, and it was like everybody was playing like Pantera and Korn, and then there was the whole black metal period and extreme metal period. I missed all that whole chunk.
You missed the KTM Rocks phase, didn't you?
Yeah, I missed like the height of KTM Rocks because when we were there, we were just starting.
Yeah,
and after I came back, like that, I mean, that scene isn't as big. I don't know if it's still as big, but right now I feel like people listen to more like, I don't know, hip hop.
Well, they do that back home too, right?
Yeah,
in New York.
Yeah. Or like as far as rock, like I don't think. And correct me if I'm wrong. I don't think there's like one like scene that is ruling it's just like, you know, everybody has their own genres now, and I think it's more acceptable. Because when I started, it was more like, you know, you gotta be metal, man. You gotta be hard. Yeah, you gotta be hard. And you know, it made sense for back then because you were so secluded or isolated from the rest of the world. Yeah. So.
And you were also around with the tape trading and CDs were just coming up and stuff. We didn't have Napster back then.
Oh, we had Napster.
No, you had Napster.
Yeah.
You had Napster?
We had Napster.
I had no access to Napster.
Yeah. I mean, I had Napster like last 2 or 3 years before I left Napster too. You know, but it would take a day to download a song. Yeah, rare tracks,
collection,
something. And then it would be like some other song or something.
It's all viruses and spread.
Yeah.
That was a fascinating period. Also because of the fact that while you were away, you were making music with the Rungs, and then you were also one of the most fascinating albums that you've done is Adunik, which if you re-released it today, a lot of people would get it, but then they got it back then probably.
Yeah.
Because you were probably years ahead to what's happening right now.
Probably, yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's still there.
just go listen to it.
It's still there.
But is that where you see the music industry going? Is that this sort of marriage between electronic, indie, riffs, and beats and everything? Do you think that's where Nepali scene is also kind of going?
I honestly have no idea. I can never know where Nepali scenes go, or like what songs people like or don't like. I've kind of given up on that.
I'll make you listen to a Teeth song. You'll give up more. Fantastic. Mandy, so you've been here very often, haven't you? I mean, you've said
to Nepal.
Yeah, how many times now?
4 times.
4 times.
So not too often.
But always in the winter.
Yeah.
So have you traveled outside Kathmandu?
Yeah, we've gone to Chitwan and Pokhara, and
Nepalgan?
we've stayed at the national park.
We went to Lomjung. We went to the village.
Lomjung.
Okay.
We stayed in
Bandipur.
Bandipur.
Have you caught any of the ethnic local instruments or music or anything like that, or even the local scene in Kathmandu? Have you had a chance to see any of that?
Like what types of local instruments? Like
if you go to like the sarangi.
Yeah, I've seen sarangi. Well, he did a show a while ago in Connecticut with Katoomba.
Okay.
And they play a lot of traditional instruments, and that was really cool to see. So that's kind of cool because you're thinking about where is music going, and it is cool to think like, what about these instruments and electronic music and all of these avenues that things can go down. It's pretty exciting.
And I think that's where it's going. I think everybody's finding this sort of balance between Eastern and Western influences. There's this sort of middle ground that we can all make music together. Welcome back to the Rock Show with coffee this time. Yes, we've got our cups right there. Yeah, Mandy's got a cool cup. Yeah, awesome. So we've been talking about music and music. This show is probably going to go everywhere now.
Yeah.
Let's this अहिले को जुन culture छ that you're facing, that you're seeing basically. There's more expansive music, you're playing with ambient sounds. This new set that you brought together, there's a flute player.
Yeah.
Mandy's on electronica, and you've been dabbling in that for a long time now.
Yeah.
You're a great lead guitar player on top of that, called the Himalayan Halen, which
Himalayan
nobody knows about.
Yeah, I'm
It's,
like.
you know, do you know this? That he's
No.
called the Himalayan Halen.
I didn't know that.
Well, he's not self-anointed. That I can tell
I
you.
was
That.
I was given that name.
He was given that name because he's a superb lead guitar player.
like hail, like falling
No,
from.
No, Halen.
Van Halen.
Van Halen. Himalayan Halen.
That makes more sense.
God, because he was. I remember Ayurveda when Ayurveda came out. Just to give a little background, when Ayurveda came out here, 2010, I was not even in music at that point. But since we didn't have that much of internet, it was not that fast and everything. Somebody actually passed me Universal Mind and said, "You need to hear this. You need to hear this song." And I listened to it. And I went, whoa, what band is this, man? Where are these guys from? It's like, there are two Nepalis in the band. I was like, no way, man. And then there's no way that's happening. And then I looked at some of the videos online and found Kashmir. And then I found the Sansago Bilama. He probably has the best Nepali accent. Ayurveda's vocalist.
Yeah.
And all of that. Because you've seen these types, right? And now you've expanded your set. What sort of drove you to do that? Do you think it was a time for a change? Do you just wanted to give them something new to the live shows?
Yeah, I think I think it's just the songs I was writing. They dictated that I have those things on the set. Because a lot of the songs I'm doing now, like the last one I released, I think from Ayakomo I released last year, that song, and then I read another one called Uchala, and from that point, I'm trying to make it more of a conscious thing to have some electronic elements, not like beats, or just like, like whatever is in the recordings that I used. It's just not to be like lazy about it. Just like, we don't need that just because we have to like teach this person. We have to like set up one more instrument. So this time I'm like, it's just try to give that full experience and trying not to like. Because I do like now I'm doing like full band shows and doing solo shows. Solo shows I use a lot of tracks that I made in Ableton Live, so it's laptop. But in a band setting, I'm trying not to have any samples. So like all the stuff you hear is like Mandy's playing those, and just like arpeggiated stuff that we're playing it live, just to have that feeling. And last year I recorded with Ashish Bhai and Yusan Bhai. They play the flute and madal. So last year I met them and then I recorded with them. So this time I'm doing some of those songs that I recorded. So like, of course, it makes sense to have them here. And I've always wanted some kind of madal player in the band, just because a lot of the folk songs that I do, there's madal in the recording, but I never had it live. Because back then it was more like, it's like, I don't know who to find. Because also like you need to like have a sort of similar tastes. So, like I tried playing with the madal player, like, but he was like very super traditional. It just didn't work out. And then like they have their own idea, but
Very strict about
they're very strict about it. And then, like, your song say should be in an odd time, and I know it should be in an odd time, but I made it even time just because I want to do it. But
the
like
model player told you
and
the song
like,
should be in an odd
yeah,
time.
and like Matasa, I know that, but it's like and then it's like stuff like that. But with Yusan and Ashish, they're like younger guys, and they
open to
and they were in the band. Lakhe, what's it called? Lakhe with Anil.
Yeah.
They were there. So like they sort of came from the metal. They know. Also, they're like very talented in the traditional stuff. Like so he can play like flute, like any like Radio Nepal recordings you've heard. Like he's very good. Both of them very good, but they can adapt and like play along to like newer electronic music or rock music. So this time it made sense to have them on stage with me too.
That sort of versatility is very good to have in a band.
Yeah. So that's it was perfect to find those guys. Yeah.
Mandy, this his introduction to new elements in his music, live, let's say, because you've always had a lot of elements in your music. Because we've been fans of his for years now, living in Nepal. We just never got to see him. He's another Pokemon. But the sort of music when you guys met, What kind of music were you guys thinking to make, or what kind of music came naturally when you guys met and when you just started the creative process?
You mean for our band?
Yes.
I think what came naturally. Well, I didn't really play music before that much. I was in a steel drum band, and I was playing in an African drum and dance ensemble. So I was doing a lot of like percussive stuff at the time, and then he gave me some of his guitars to play while he was on tour with Ayurveda. So when we first started, it was kind of just like I would like record something. He basically showed me, because he was like, okay, I'm going to be gone for 6 weeks. What are you going to do? Like, it's winter and you'll be here. So he's like, guitar. And then he showed me Reaper on the computer. Do you know that program? It's a recording software. So I was just like, okay, I've got stuff to do. And I just played some guitar, recorded it in Reaper. And then I would send him these like really silly little like elementary, like, it's like whatever I learned on steel drum, trying to play it on the guitar. And that kind of was the basis, I guess, of what came naturally. What would you say? Like just like really funny percussive stuff, but
On the
with guitar.
Guitar, yeah. But it was very electronic just from where we started.
That's true, because we started using Ableton also. He showed me Ableton.
Yeah.
So then I started making electronic stuff and sending that to him. And then we just kind of played around. Like, it's kind of funny how it started. It just kind of happened. Like, we didn't really think about it. We didn't even think about being a band, actually. We just, he threw me a surprise birthday party, and we played some songs together for that we had been, like, playing together at home. And because he used to play guitar, and, like, we'd sing together, like, before bed or something, like, and we did that. And then a friend just asked, like, hey, do you guys want to, what's your band? Do you want to play a show with my band? And what's the name? What should I put on the poster? And we're just like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
African how did you join an African percussive band?
It was this Awe drumming, which is from Ghana. And that's because when I was working at Cornell, our employees can take classes, which is a perk for anybody like looking for jobs right now at universities.
It's Cornell University, by the way.
But most universities offer that you are, as an employee, eligible to take a certain amount of credits per semester.
Sure.
So I just took advantage of that and joined these ensembles.
Obviously, you like the percussion.
Yeah, I really liked that.
The percussive instruments.
We
Yeah.
also did, I did that class for 1 semester too. And then we also did Indonesian
Gamelan.
What is
like,
That was
it's like
fun.
Indonesian traditional music. It's all percussive, but they have their own something like instruments. Like some of them are like xylophones, some like big gongs, but their tuning is completely their tuning. Like, it doesn't match with any note in the Western scale. It's in between the notes, and it's very complex rhythmic form.
Like lots of interlocking.
Yeah, because when you play one instrument, like you can't think about, you just think about what you're playing, and other guys playing something else in a different time, and it all comes together, and it's like very like meditative, amazing music.
I have to go look at that.
Yeah,
It's so
gamelan
cool.
music.
And
Yeah, so we did that for once. You did it for 2 semesters. I did it for 1 semester.
And some of the pieces, like the traditional piece is actually like a 4-hour long thing.
Yeah,
so
so
even
very
in the
long.
class, you're just doing like a 20 minutes of this super long piece. That
So would you have sheets of music to do this, or
Yeah, they have their own sheet music style. It's like number based. So like you hit certain number, like symbols for everything you have to hit.
and it's more circular. So instead of like bars moving linearly, the music kind of like goes on these like, maybe, man, if there's a official gamelan player listening to this, they might be like, you're butchering my art.
shaking their head, going,
Yeah.
same as the madal player going, it should have been on.
Yeah, should have been on, yeah. But gamelan is great. If anyone is interested to know the gamelan's influence in Western music, is if you listen to the 3 King Crimson albums that came in the 80s.
King Crimson used
Yeah,
the gamelan?
Discipline, 3 of a Perfect Pair, and I forget the other one. But that Robert Fripp, that's how I learned about gamelan. Like Robert Fripp studied that music and he translated it to the guitar, like that kind of rhythmic. And that's something we did a lot in Ayurveda too. Like we're
Just
big,
kind of innately, you guys
big
did that.
King Crimson fans of the 80s. Like 80s, not so much the 70s prog rock King Crimson. Like the 80s was like a different era. Like you had Adrian Belew on guitar, Robert Fripp, Bill Bruford, and I forgot Tony something on the bass. But that was also like a big influence for Ivy, and that is also a big influence for Tool. Like if you listen to Adam Jones's interview, they're like huge King Crimson, and a lot of the riffs, I'm sorry for Tool fans, that he uses is like slowed down King Crimson riffs. Like if you listen to them, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it's awesome.
This
either
video is
way.
gonna get a lot of dislikes now.
Yeah, people are like, what? No, I love Tool.
Yeah. You know what? But full disclaimer, I've never heard a Tool song in my life.
Oh, really?
You have though. You
No.
probably just it would
I
be
probably
like
just don't know.
yeah, like if you heard it. We just saw Tool
Really?
at this theater around the corner from our.
No,
No, no,
this
no,
is
no.
not
What
You're
am-
talking about Nine Inch Nails.
Trent. Trent Reznor just went. Oh my god. Oh no.
A lot of
Picturing
dislikes
me now, real a lot of dislike. But if you heard a Tool song,
no,
you would
randomly.
recognize it.
I don't think you would ever randomly hear a Tool song. Like, you,
Yeah, that's. I don't think they play that in the taxis here. No, I don't. No. Well, you know, the influence of prog rock, though,
yeah,
especially during the KTM Rocks, and this is the phase that you missed.
yeah.
During those times, there was a lot of well-structured music, like Anil Dittal, who was a phenomenal guitar player.
Yeah, Atomic Bush, like all those guys. Yeah, I missed that whole.
You missed that whole chunk.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
during that time is when prog rock was really making its way, and at that time I was doing drugs. So, and it's funny that I didn't run into because I was busy in blues, so
Yeah.
I didn't have a chance to really go into that.
The blues?
Yeah, so I played the blues. I still do.
Yeah,
I got a chance to play at Buddy Guy's place,
Yeah,
so it was fun. And I got a chance to meet Buddy Guy too,
yeah.
which was so weird because Buddy Guy was in the corner of the bar, and I'm like, is he Buddy Guy? I think he's Buddy Guy. It may be Buddy Guy. And then I looked at his finger, and I always knew that Buddy Guy wears a ring called BG.
Oh, okay.
And I saw that, and I'm like, that's Buddy Guy.
Whoa.
I had to take a picture with him. And I had the pleasure to tell him that, sir, we've got a lot of fans in Nepal, and Nepal has the blues.
Yeah, you should come. Yeah.
And I told him you should come. He's like, you know what, brother? I just might.
yeah.
He just gave me the most smoothest answer ever. Smoothest way to say no.
yeah.
Let's forward this into another one of your endeavors, and that is your stints in Chepang. Because not a lot of people know this. Even Chepang fans, a lot of people don't know this, that you've laid some pretty heavy solos down and riffs down for that band. How is it working for them? They're old childhood mates, right?
Yeah, I mean, Dipesh I've known for a very long time.
The singer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chiti's, I never met him here, but I met him when the first time I met Chiti's was with Ayurveda. We played a show in Queens, and Sangharsha opened for us.
What a phenomenal band they were.
Yeah, they were amazing.
Yeah.
And then and that's the first time I met her, and then we've been friends ever since then.
Well, but this is a little bit of a trivia for the fans who are listening. But Dipesh Hirachan, who's the singer of Chepang, used to be the original drummer for Albatross.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's how you guys came together.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, because when they said Albatross and Chepang, I'm like, how do they know each other?
Yeah.
They don't sound like each other at all.
Yeah.
That whole family, the Brooklyn, Chepang, and all of them. How has that sort of helped you, or sort of channeled your musical endeavors as well? That Chepang chapter in your life.
No, I think it's just a really good outlet, because I don't really play that kind of music anymore in any of my projects. So, but that's sort of my roots to, like, heavy music and like shreddy solos, and with them it's like, it's never like, there's no pressure, there's no like, you have to play this. There's like, play whatever you want. Like, it can be as noisy or atonal. I usually don't even follow any scales. I just play as fast as I can for however long they need me to play, which they do a lot of odd times, and sometimes I don't even bother to learn the riff. I just count, like, okay, this riff goes for like 16 counts, and the next riff goes for 13 counts. So I'm just counting in my head, and my fingers just going. Yeah, there's no like, I'm not like feeling each note. I'm just like, it's just like more like a
in the moment.
Yeah. I'm thinking it more as like a, just like a swarm of notes, instead of like one single note. But it's fun. Like even before Chepang, I recorded bass for the last Sangharsha album. I did the bass tracks, but I think that's the first time we recorded.
Really?
And then after that, they were recording in Baltimore, and they were like, okay, because I was not in the first Lathi Charge. I was not in that one.
Okay.
I was in the second.
That's good.
Dorelo. Yeah.
Welcome back to the Rock Show with ASM. In conversation with Divas Gurung, and man, it's good to have you here. Before I go to Divas Gurung, I need to ask you, what's your favorite Nepali food cuisine that you've had?
I love sog, which I know is kind of lame, but I just like sog.
I think collectively,
Shamelessly.
everybody just heard this and went like, what?
Everybody's disappointed.
Everybody said, what? Momo? No. So have you tried the momos? Of course you have tried them.
Yeah.
They make great momos back in New York now.
Yeah.
They really do.
Although
you like chatamari and that's the
Bara.
new thing for you.
Yeah, I've tried some more Nuwari food this trip, which I really like. Actually, what did I eat? I ate tongue for the first time, and I actually liked it.
It's
But
very good.
I don't really eat a lot of meat, but it was like, if it's a special occasion or it's something special and you only live once, so I'll try it.
Well, the tongue is probably it's one of the safest things you can have, because they serve a lot more dangerous things
Yeah.
compared to the tongue.
Yeah.
But it's a culinary delight, isn't it? The way they make it.
Yeah.
Have you
it
tried
was really
the chang?
No,
should try the
never
chang.
tried.
Not the chang
good.
yet.
What's that?
Wheat beer, or rice beer.
Rice. Yeah.
Rice.
Oh,
beer.
maybe when we went to where did we go when we stayed at that with Phil, that little day trek? We drank
we had
something
some
from a bottle.
Yeah. But they added a lot of sugar to that one. It was
Yeah.
super sweet. So
Yeah, that
it
doesn't-
wasn't that.
That doesn't go well.
that good.
The live shows. You've been part of all of the live shows where you've done on this tour, right? And how was your experience? Is this the first time you're playing with him in Nepal?
We played a rung show the last time that we were both here together.
Oh, awesome.
So, but this is different because obviously it's like his music and I'm playing a new instrument. I usually don't play synth, so that's really new for me. So it's kind of a first, and it's been really fun. But also I feel like I really don't want to make a mistake on one of his songs. So before every show, I'm like, and I only have small parts, like just little touches. So I'm like, don't mess, you have one job. Don't mess up that one
got
little
one
part. Yeah.
How has the experience been? You've played in intimate venues like Ventures and like BNC. Then you've played big venues, indoor venues like Purple Haze. You got to play Moksh.
Yeah.
So how's the reception, and what sort of connection do you feel with the people?
Connection. Well, everybody
You can say
has
none.
been
You can say
really
none if you want.
No connection.
well, it is kind of it's a big change of pace for both of us. I think maybe more so for me than you because you've been playing more shows, but I've kind of been like a little like studio homebody the past like for a while now. So just playing shows is a little bit like, oh right, like in addition to making music and sitting at the computer and sitting in a chair with the guitar, like you can also actually play it live. So that's been a change of pace. And in terms of connection, like obviously his music has a lot of support. So a lot of people at the shows are friends of his, and some people we've met before on past trips, friends and family, and people who are like really supportive. So
Wow.
I feel a connection in that sense.
There's a question that I've always wanted to ask Steve, is that what if you'd stayed?
Yeah, I don't know.
Have you ever wondered what if you'd stayed?
Yeah. I honestly, I don't know if I would definitely not be doing music full time. I don't think.
Really?
If I had stayed, I mean, I would still be doing music, but
But
I would have a day job.
Okay.
More than likely I would,
Yeah.
because the time back then it was really hard to
Yeah.
like I think it's very recent that like people can like make a living. I mean, I know it's still very hard now,
It is.
but there's more opportunities now than before.
Especially if you're a cover band.
Yeah, cover
Man,
band.
they get paid some serious cash.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
get paid some serious cash.
Yeah, or if you're into recording like I am, or production,
Yeah.
mixing, that I think that I would have done that eventually,
Mm.
because even in the US for the longest time I had no interest in recording or production or anything. All I wanted to do was just play guitar. And I did that for a very long time.
Yeah, I feel like in a parallel universe, maybe there's a you that stayed with like long hair,
Yeah, no,
out there
I would be a lot
shredding,
more-
fronting a cover band.
I would still be like very much into. I don't know if like my taste would have expanded as much, because when I was in the US, there's certain things I didn't really like, but my friends kind of like forced them on me, and the stuff that I read, I was exposed to, and I didn't really like it at first, but I was like, there must be something there until I
got
got it. Like, yeah, Radiohead was like the turning point for me. A lot of people, even friends I grew up with, they still don't like Radiohead, and
I know I know Series that hates Radiohead.
yeah, he's not a big fan.
Yeah,
at
he's
all.
not at all.
Yeah,
I said,
yeah.
okay, computer is like,
Yeah. Yeah. But that was like a turning point in a lot of people's lives. I think once you make that turn into Radiohead, I think then you're like, because it's still like a rock, but then they open you up to like a whole world of
dimension of possibilities.
yeah.
I think that's OK Computer did it for me. When I still remember when I heard OK Computer for the first time, I went and I met Suncha. I met Sunny Dai in Tiamo in Basantpur before the earthquake, and I remember telling him, I said, "Have you heard OK Computer?" And he looked at me and said, "Did you hear it?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "It blew your mind, didn't it?" I said, "You did."
Yeah.
That whole album is like a
It's
masterpiece.
Yeah.
And it does really open your brain to a lot, like how music can be produced.
Yeah. And then also like their lineage
Yeah.
of the bands that influenced them, and the bands of their peers, like indie rock music from the UK, which is like growing up here, like I had no idea about any of those bands. Like we really like that band OMD, and the 80s like new wave bands and stuff that like staying here, like I don't think I would have been like someone would have like really like forced it on me, and I'd be like, this really sucks, and then I have to like maybe just spend a lot of time.
Let me just play Smoke on the Water.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, because of the internet, you have this sort of whole expanse of music library to choose from. Like I found out about shoegaze maybe 3 years ago.
Oh yeah.
And I can't get enough of it. There's a band called Ride that I keep listening to them all the time. This is an old 90s British band.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
And fantastic music. The music production side. Now you have this another facet that you are the magician behind Bartika Rai. And you're the guy who did it for Biki Gurung. I remember texting you with Biki Gurung.
Yeah, I was going through our messages. And you wrote me that. Yeah.
I wrote you that. I said, your music being appreciated, your production, the quality that you're putting out being appreciated here. How did that the music production for you start? When did you start producing for other people?
The first song I produced was for Sumnima Rai, and that was and she's related to Yogyan, who's the singer of Sangharsha. So through them, like they saw like I was putting out songs like that Asha Bhosle cover we were talking about.
So good. Oh, no, wait, I have to stop. I have to stop, and I have to tell the people who are listening and who are watching this on YouTube, go type Divas Gurung Asha Bhosle on YouTube, and you will find the most glorious cover song in the history of mankind. I was so happy. I was grinning ear to ear when I heard that song. Please continue.
Yeah. So I did that, and I did a cover of Baneko Cha Pahara, like so I put it on SoundCloud, and people really liked it. And I think from that they wanted me to produce her first single, which I did. It did pretty well. We did a video, and then through that, Bartika approached me, and then I did it. And its production is it's like a very steep hill, like you climb very 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 slowly, and that's what I've been doing, is like climbing. And I do a lot of research on what genre. Usually, like I don't really force too much stuff. I usually talk like what kind of stuff you want, and then I'll do my own stuff. But I also try to do a lot of research on like if somebody wants like this kind of song, then I'll try to find like who's the good producer in that genre, and what kind of programs do they use, what kind of techniques, what kind of EQing. Like I go like really deep on like every genre as much as I can. And
welcome back to the Rock Show with ASM in conversation with the man, the genius, Mr. Divas Gurung, and of course the genius behind the genius. Mandy, it's so good to have you here.
Thank you.
We're having a completely another, another dimension of conversations because you're here. Because now I'm finding out more stories about him. So what's coming up now? You're here. Album, songs. What's coming up?
I have. So far, I've released two singles from my upcoming album. I'm gonna release maybe 2 more, and then plan on releasing an album.
When do you plan on releasing the album?
I want to release it before I leave, but I don't know if that's possible. I'm gonna stay for another month. Hopefully, I'll release it before I go. I'm also working on some videos, depending on when they're done. Yeah. So, but within the next 2-3 months, and me and Mandy released an album for the Rungs last year called Everyday Visions, and we're working on like a follow-up EP to that one too.
Awesome.
Yeah. So that's and then also I'm working with a lot of other artists, and especially here I'm meeting a lot of new people that I want to work with.
Awesome.
I'm doing that as well.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well,
there's lots of music 24/7
24/7.
going
I
on.
know, right?
It's a little intense sometimes.
Yeah. And I do this project where it's like a song journal. I'm recording a song a month just as like a songwriting challenge. And he's been helping a lot with the production on those.
Wow.
So that's even another thing that
Yeah.
So do you produce on
just
the
like
road?
goofing off with those.
Yeah, I produce anywhere I can, because we have a laptop, I have my hard drive. When it comes to mixing, like I want there to be a certain specifications in like studio or speakers.
Yeah.
But production is, you can produce anywhere. All you need is the laptop and the guitar.
Although you have to be careful about background noises depending on what you're recording.
Yeah, acoustic instruments are harder.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's good to have the noise.
The noise.
Dogs
Yeah,
barking
dogs
in the background.
There's a lot
Cars
of those
honking.
here. Yeah,
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
a lot of those here.
Yeah, I think it adds to the charm.
Fantastic. All hail Divas Guru.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. This has been a wonderful, wonderful conversation. Mandy, so good. I can't wait to have you
Thank
guys back
you.
on the show. When the album comes out, please do come back to the show. I wish we could do a Skype thing, but maybe, never say never. Maybe we can sometime in the future when you're there. Thank you so much for coming down. This has been a fascinating conversation on the Walk Show with Divas Guru and Mandy. I'm going to take my leave and give it back to the people, and the next show, Sudit is going to take over. Thank you, guys. Thank you so much. I love it. Thank you so much, Mandy. Absolutely loved it. Guys, this has been an amazing conversation. Stick around for more. The Walk Show with ASM. I'll see you next day. Bye-bye.